Hello, bonjour, bonsoir. How is everybody doing? I am so thrilled to see everyone popping on here on Zoom for this very special chat all about Insight Timer. I see some familiar names and some new names and faces. That's wonderful. So I'll just wait about another 30 seconds before starting this party. I hope everyone is ready to have some fun learning about something that has really started to transform my life in a major way, and I think it can do the same for you. All right, I'll give people another 30 seconds and then we will begin. And really quick, if you see me looking down at any point, I'm just looking at some notes on my phone. I'm not trying to ignore you. All right, let's get started. I am Mary Schiller, also known as Mary in Paris. I have been a professional coach since 2016. And just for point of reference, because this is about Insight Timer, which is an audio-based app, I've actually been working with audio in some way, shape, or form since the mid-1990s. So I am a big fan of audio, and it's why I was so grateful to discover this app called Insight Timer back in the middle of 2023 or so. So again, welcome to everyone who is here live. Thank you so much for taking the time. And if you're watching this on the replay, I appreciate you taking the time to do that as well. So please feel free to say hello in the chat. And the first thing that I want to ask you is, have you heard of Insight Timer? Have you used the app as a user? Just type in the chat yes or no. Because again, I was not familiar with Insight Timer until the middle of last year. And what was funny was when I started to mention it to people, they're like, oh yeah, I've been on Insight Timer for years. I'm like, how have I never heard of this app before? Yes, thank you, Karina. I am finally back to 100%. So it's taken me about 6 weeks to get there, but you know, I'm fine now. Thank you. So yeah, I guess I guess I was just out of the loop. You know, I was not in the know, as they say, when it comes to Insight Timer. I'm going to show you an interesting chart here in a second. Let me just share my screen here. Let's see. Hang on a moment. I don't want to share that. I want to show you a very interesting chart, if I can pull this out here. Hold on a moment. I don't know why it's not letting me share this properly. Hold on. I always have difficulties with Zoom and screen sharing. I don't know why. Okay. All right, let's take a look at this chart. Before we get into anything, I just want to show you this because it kind of vindicates me a little bit that I hadn't heard of Insight Timer, where this is United States. This is not worldwide, but this is where Insight Timer ranks on the amount of time spent on meditation apps in the United States. Now, I had heard of Calm and Headspace, interestingly enough, but the reason why is because those two do a lot of advertising, right? So I think that's why I had heard of them. But Insight Timer actually has 63% of the time spent on meditation apps in the United States. And when I saw this chart, I was like, oh my gosh, I have really been missing out on something. And I saw recently that Insight Timer is going to do some things to change this. They hired a chief marketing officer. So I think they recognized that if they were going to be a bigger player in this space, they needed to do more to get their name out there. So I thought that was very interesting. So it looks like many of you have heard of it, no idea you could teach on it. I see a couple of people have registered as a teacher, but haven't gotten started yet. And yeah, I just am so excited to share this with you because I feel like Insight Timer is a completely untapped or mostly untapped resource for us, especially for those of us who are coaches who want to get our message out there to more people on a platform that is perfect for what we do. So just a couple of housekeeping things here before I jump into the actual talk. I will be pausing for questions at certain points, and you can type your question into the chat. If you have comments, just type them in anyway, and I will go back and scroll and see what you all have been saying. But before I get into that, I want to know if you'd answer in the chat, has it been frustrating to you? And I kind of know the answer to this, but I want to hear it anyway. Has it been frustrating to you to try to build your visibility as a coach using traditional social media? Because it has been for me, and it's why I've used other methods, which I will mention. Yes, Deborah says yes. And Darlene, yes, it's been a pain in the butt. Who can relate to that? Wave at me if you're on camera. um, yes, okay. Because part of the problem, oh, hi, Louise. Debbie, yes. Yeah, you're so over it. Because part of the problem is what? When people are on social media, what are they doing? What is this motion that I'm making with the thumb here? It's like, oh, scroll, 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 bing, bing, right? And it occurred to me about a week or so ago, I was on a flight, a very long flight. I was actually in Hawaii, and it was just a very long journey to get home. And I was on the leg of the flight from LA to Paris. And I saw this woman who was sitting kind of catty corner from me in this row in front of me. And she was on her phone, and she was literally just doing this for like an hour, like just on her phone doing this. And I was like, is she even aware of what she's doing? And then it occurred to me, oh my gosh, think of all of those people that she's just I almost said flipping off, but flipping by, like they put effort into whatever she saw for 0.25 seconds. And I just started to feel really bad about that. All of those hardworking people who have put their heart and soul into something, and someone just, does this scrolling motion. Heather says, I don't like traditional social media. It feels like very low energy. Well, yeah, that occurred to me too, Heather, because that person's not really engaged at all. They're just looking, and nothing is really landing with them. So I started to think about the ways that I have connected with people over the years. And really, the ways that have worked best for me have utilized platforms where people are consciously looking for the thing that I am talking about. So, for example, I have a lot of books on Amazon. People go on Amazon, what do? They search for something, right? They search for a book on a specific topic. And so it's not like they're just scrolling. You can't really scroll like that on Amazon. You're on there searching for something. Another really good source for me has been YouTube, for the same reason, because YouTube is a search engine just like Amazon is, and people go on there and they type in a topic, and YouTube videos appear that relate to that topic. And so anytime that I have either been interviewed and they've put the video on YouTube, or I've made a video myself, that has been a way that people have found me, and they still find me. That's the beauty of something like Amazon, YouTube, and as I'm about to get into, Insight Timer, because those are search engines that your creative stuff lives there forever. I have people who still message me or email me about videos I made 9 years ago because they're still on YouTube. And when people search, it pops up. So I'm not going to knock social media because a lot of people really like it. A lot of people have done phenomenally well with social media. I am not one of them. Okay. I'm not someone who has ever really enjoyed it. And I think that social media, if it's going to be used effectively, especially to build any sort of business, let alone a coaching business, you really have to devote a tremendous amount of time and energy, or you have to have the money to pay for advertising. Deborah says, for me, very low return on investment. Yeah, same here. Even when I tried advertising, it sort of worked. But then the people who came into my business through the ad ended up leaving very quickly. So I don't think that they were the best match. Maybe there was something wrong with my ad. I don't know, but I just didn't feel like investing any more time and money in that for something that just didn't seem all that effective in the first place. So, if you're like I am then, and you're thinking, okay, what else is there? Insight Timer is a really great alternative because, as you may realize, since you're familiar with Insight Timer, it's a place where people are going very deliberately. Most of the time, they're using it on their phone. You can use it on the computer, of course, too, but it doesn't have all of the functionality. But it has a built-in audience of something like 500,000 people who go on there every day. And they are searching for the very things that you want to talk about with them. And it's really funny because I I don't know, I guess I'm very skeptical these days about, how things can work. And I've been, in the online space literally since the internet began, basically. I started teaching online back in, I think it was 1999 or 2000. So I've been around a long time. And when a former client of mine mentioned Insight Timer, I I was like, oh sure, okay, whatever. It's just another, you know what I mean? I just kind of had that attitude, and I'm not even going to apologize for it because I think a lot of us have gotten a little jaded. Would you agree over, oh, this is the best thing ever or whatever. So I went on there and I looked around and I thought, well, there definitely is some quality on here. I listened to some of the free tracks, and then I signed up for the $60 a year membership. And I was like, these people are good, the people on here. And I thought, I'm not quite sure that I fit in, but I'm just going to give it a try and see what's going on here. So I signed up to be a teacher, and I uploaded 2 free tracks, which is what you're required to do in order to be a teacher. You have to get 2 free tracks approved. And I thought, okay, well, let's just see what happens. And I think this was like in June, July, August, something like that. I didn't really think too much about it during that time. I was really busy. I was moving, and, a lot was going on in my life. And I got these little notifications in my email from Insight Timer saying that I hadn't met the payout threshold of $10 yet. So I couldn't get paid through PayPal. And I was like, okay, whatever. And it seemed to confirm what I was thinking, like, okay, well, maybe I'm getting some plays of these free tracks on here, but I'm not sure it's really helping me. And by the way, you may have noticed that I have ditched the slides I made for this. I just can't deal with slides. I decided, so right before I came on here, I'm like, forget the slides. I'm just going to talk and share my screen. So anyway, I thought, okay, maybe just for fun, I will upload a couple of courses, audio courses that I had already made. So I had to adjust them slightly to fit Insight Timer's guidelines for courses. And you may know, tell me in the chat if you're aware that if you want to access the courses on Insight Timer, you have to have that $60 a year membership, that all of the courses are behind that membership paywall. So I didn't know how Insight Timer paid its instructors exactly. So I put the courses up there, and then I checked in every couple of days or so to see if anyone was commenting on the courses. And if they were, I would respond to them. You can respond in writing or in audio if you're a teacher, if someone types a comment in your course. And again, I was just kind of like, oh, this is cool. I started to see that the people on there were really interesting. I liked the comments that they were making on my courses. And I even, Heather, that's a good question. I uploaded 2 initially. One was 28 days, 28 lessons. And the other one, I think the second one that I uploaded was 21 lessons. So, and I also tried their live event feature. I hosted a couple of live events just to see what that was like. Live events you do not get paid for except through donations that people might make either during or after your live event. But that was a really interesting way to see even more about the audience on Insight Timer. And again, I was really blown away by the depth of the discussion that we got into on these live events. And I was just so impressed by the people on the app. I was like, wow, I want to hang out here. Like, I like these people. They're really interesting. They're very thoughtful. They are very knowledgeable. And I found that if people were commenting on my course, or if they were leaving a review or something, or on the live event, if they disagreed with me, they would do it in a very kind way. They would say something, would write something like, I really appreciate what you're saying. It's not how I view things. I see things more like this, but let's keep talking. They would do things like that. And I was like, wow, they don't even know me. And they're being just very, very kind. So I started to get a little more interested in this platform. And I honestly wasn't even thinking anymore at that point about how much the app paid its teachers. That just kind of went out of my mind. So then I think it was in around the 3rd week of September, because Insight Timer pays around the 21st, 22nd of the month. I got an email from PayPal, and it said that Insight Timer had deposited $511 in my PayPal account. And I just kind of went, that's got to be a mistake. Like, what? Because I said before, I'd been getting these notices like, oh, you haven't met the $10 payout threshold. And then suddenly it was $500. I was like, that can't be right. And so I went, and sure enough, that was true. And then a few days later, I saw in my teacher dashboard, which I'll show you guys in a minute, how it broke down how much they paid per play of a course and how much they paid per student interaction. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is insane. And so I thought, all right, I'm going to start putting a lot more courses on this app, because A, I really like the interactions with people, and B, they pay very generously. So that was the next phase of my journey, which I will go into in a moment. But before I do, I want to just pause here and see if you guys have any questions about anything so far. What I can tell you is that Insight Timer pays you the most money for courses on the app. Again, those are behind the membership. They also pay you for single tracks, both ones that you can put behind the membership paywall and free ones, although the free ones they don't pay very much for at all. I'll show you in a second. And the premium single tracks are not listened to very much because there's so many free tracks on the app. I think people just don't even bother listening to those. How long did it take for them to initially approve you to become a teacher? Debbie asked. I'll tell you about that, Orin. So I think it was about a week, except that I screwed up my profile photo. I uploaded the wrong picture, and because I had two versions of my photo. One was a low resolution and one was a high resolution, and I accidentally uploaded the low resolution one, and so it took another week for them to approve me after I fixed the photo. So it would have been about a week. And then I uploaded the two free tracks that you have to upload. And those each took about a week to get approved. And it used to be that you had to have a rating of 4.5 out of 5 or more before you could start uploading courses. But I think they've done away with that. So now, as soon as your second track is approved, you can start uploading courses. Orn was mentioning that there was a decision made that if you are doing a live event on Insight Timer and somebody makes a donation from an Apple device during the event, Apple takes 30% of that donation. And that is true, but it only affects live events, not anything else. So I'm not particularly worried about that because I haven't done a live event in several months, and it's not really where my interest lies. So I'm not particularly concerned about that. It seems to me that because Insight Timer has focused so much of its energy on paying instructors generously for courses, that's what they are looking for, is more courses, not necessarily more live events. So when someone pays their yearly subscription, can they access any course for free? Yes. So after they pay, they get access to everything on the app, including courses. There's also another thing that people can access, where if someone has run a challenge, a live challenge, which I don't think that you and I can do. I've investigated that, and it looks like it's for a specific group of teachers that they've somehow segmented. I'm not really sure. But if you've paid, you can go through the challenge in a recorded fashion. So you don't have to have attended it live. So yes, once you've paid that $60 for the year, you get access to everything. And I was going to say something else about that, and I don't remember what it was. Anyway, maybe it'll come back to me. Yes, the challenges are for business accounts. Yes, that's correct. So like if you are because there are two ways that people can use Insight Timer. We can use them as individuals, or we can use them for business. And I believe the challenges are for businesses. Yes. So why don't I show you a little bit here, if I can find this page. I can just kind of show you what's available to people once they are on here. All right, so I am going to go up here for individuals. They have, topics, all kinds of topics. So if I'm going to click on, let's say, happiness and joy, then I can look at who they're featuring. I can look for single tracks. And of course, I'm doing this on my computer, not on my phone, but you can do this much more easily on your phone, frankly. I can look at courses on those topics. I can also search for things. Here are some live events that are coming up related to that topic. I'm not sure what these articles, that must be their own blog. But it's really amazing to me how much quality content is on Insight Timer. And it's very exciting to me that they are open to new contributors, because one of the things I was nervous about was whether I would fit in to this world of Insight Timer, because I don't consider myself to be a spiritual teacher. I am definitely not a meditator. I don't meditate, and I don't know anything about meditation. And I kept thinking, well, is anybody going to listen to me, because I don't really fit that profile? But as I started listening to some other people who had uploaded tracks and courses on the app, I realized that really it's open to everyone who has an important message to share related to people's health and well-being. And so, Heather says, it feels like such a loving space. Yes, so different from traditional social media. That's exactly why I'm spending so much of my time there, Heather. So in the chat, maybe you can say whether or not you feel like you've felt a bit hemmed in by, where you could share what you want to share, wondering, is anybody going to be receptive to this? Are they going to get it? Because that's part of what was going on with me a little bit too. Like, I don't necessarily talk about topics like happiness and joy and stress. Some of you who are familiar with me may know that, I talk about things in a way that's a little bit different. And I was like, oh my gosh, is anyone going to be receptive to me? But they have been. That's been the exciting part. So if you felt like, you're not sure you fit in elsewhere and you're wondering, are people going to be open to me on Insight Timer? I want to assure you that the answer is an absolute yes. And also, I would love to hear in the chat, and I can get a little bit emotional about this, to be honest, but I really feel like we all have something important to say, that there's a message within us that we want to get out there to people. So do you have that too? Is there something that you really want people to know and you've been looking for a way to reach more people with it without having to create your own platform or without having to sort of fit into like the Instagram world or whatever? Because I have found a lot of freedom on Insight Timer because of the fact that so many different points of view are represented there. As Heather mentioned, it's a very loving and caring space. People aren't scrolling, they're actually there purposefully because they want to be there and they want to listen. And like I said, even if someone has not agreed with the way that I've said something, they've been very kind in their comments. So I can't say enough about that. Oh, wait, we have some people who have things to share. That's great. Definitely, absolutely, yes. Oh, thank you, Nikki. That's very kind of you. Absolutely, yes. Authenticity, 100%. As Astro Life Coach, Cancer Thriver, yes. Finding my audience, not an easy task, yes. And Mary says, absolutely, social media feels very unnatural. Well, me too, to say the least. And I feel like with other strategies, if you will, that we have been taught, we've had to, as you say, try to find or create our own audience. But as I said earlier, I have had the most success using platforms where people are already there looking for essentially me. They don't know it's me, but they type in a search term and I might pop up in the results. And then they're like, oh, what's this? And they click to watch it or they click to look at the book or whatever. And that's kind of what Insight Timer is like. It's a space where your audience is already there and looking for you. They don't necessarily know that it's you that they're looking for, but once you start to put some things on the app, people will start to find you. And that is the next point that I wanted to make. So who is really tired of marketing yourself? Yes. Okay. I see a lot of people waving their hands. Okay. So as of today, I don't have the exact figure. I'm just going to add this up really quick. Now, I want to say I do not spend a whole lot of time on Insight Timer, especially I'll explain why in the past couple of months, but I've made more than $4,100 on the app and I've done no marketing at all. I have almost 5,000 students in my courses through no marketing at all, which is like mind blowing to me. And that tells me that the algorithm of Insight Timer works incredibly well so that people who would benefit from what I am teaching on the app are finding me without my having to do anything. So going back to my earlier history with Insight Timer, I put several courses on the app, and I'm going to make a confession. I didn't do them very intentionally, in that I put courses on there that were things that I already had, basically, that I tweaked for Insight Timer to fit their rules and guidelines. And I wasn't really thinking that carefully about what the topics were. I just kind of wanted to see what would happen if I put some more courses on there. Since then, I'm becoming a lot more deliberate, and I'm looking at what is most popular on the app and then creating courses with my take on those popular topics. But in any case, by November, I had 9 courses on there. I still have 9 courses on there. Some were short. I put a couple of 2-day courses on there to see what would happen. And then they went from there up to that 28-day course. I'll show you my dashboard in a moment. And I was fully intending to put many more courses on there, December, January, February. And I had a schedule and everything. And I spent the first half of December sick. And then I got very ill right at New Year's, and I was ill from right before New Year's Eve all the way through like the first week of February. And I was so ill, in fact, that I barely got out of bed that entire time. And I think I left the house maybe 4 or 5 times. It was pretty serious. But I still, even though I didn't add any courses, I still made a significant income. My income for December was like $760. My income for January was $500. And this was me earning that money, spending maybe an hour in the entire month on the app answering people's comments. So I was pretty excited by that. It's like, wow, I'm still earning, even though I am lying here in bed, like not even having enough energy to watch Netflix. That tells you how sick I was. And I thought I can still have some really pleasant interactions with people on Insight Timer, and I'm getting paid for this, and it's not taking me much time, but it's adding a lot to my life. And so even though things hadn't gone to plan over the last few months, I'm back on my creation schedule now. It was actually a good experiment to see what would happen if I couldn't add any more courses to Insight Timer. What would happen? And that's what happened. Is I still made almost $1,300 over those 2 months, even though I did almost nothing. So would you like to see my dashboard? I can show you a little bit about how the teacher dashboard looks. Let me get rid of that screen. Where is my teacher dashboard? Here it is. All right, can you all see that? Oops, not that. There we go, hang on. What am I looking at here? All right, can you all see my, could you let me know in the chat if you can see my courses? Yes, I will do that. Okay, great. I will talk about the process a little bit. Okay, glad you can see that. So, whoops. Sorry. So I have, as I said, I have 9 courses on the Insight Timer app now. And that was, I haven't added any since November. So you can see that this one course of mine has far more students than the others. This 28 Days of Simplicity, and I'll explain why I believe that that's the case, has almost 2,200 students in it. The others have in the 300s, and then I have a couple down here that have in the 200s. So a few of these, are 2 days. This Create a Breakthrough Today is a 2-day course. Unlock Your Productivity is 2 days. Self-Sabotage is 2 days. This one's obviously 14 days, 7 days. So they kind of vary. This one is 21 days. And you'll see that I have, for this one, for example, there have been 46 questions that people have asked and I have responded to. So let me show you an example of, so this number isn't showing the most recent earnings because it's not in there yet. Okay. So can you all see this revenue of $1,000? I'm not sure what's showing. Yes. Okay. So this is what was so surprising to me. So when I started looking at these revenue statements, I was doing the math and I realized that for every play of a course lesson, and they consider a play to be 2 minutes minimum, a course has to have lessons of 5 minutes minimum. So if someone listens to 2 minutes, then you get credit for a play. They're paying 27 cents. And that adds up very fast. It really does, because I had over 2,000 plays. So I earned, more than $560 that month on November for that. But here's what really got me. Do the math here with me. I had in November, I had 24 classroom comments that I replied to. Look at what they paid for me to answer 24 comments. That is more than $20 per response. So for example, the other day I was riding the metro here in Paris and I had sort of a long ride. I had my phone, I had the teacher dashboard open. I'm sitting there on the train doing my thing, reading somebody's comment. I respond very, very thoughtfully. And I was like, well, that was a fun exchange. And I just got paid $20, So when I really started to see that Insight Timer cares about the quality of the courses and they want teachers who are going to stay on the app and stay engaged, that really thrilled me, because I thought, all right, this is not like, sorry, Instagram or Facebook. It's not like that. They want people who are committed to building something here, not just people who are going to throw something up and then walk away from it. So let me come back. So that was very, very exciting for me to discover that, yes, they were paying for plays. Yes, but they really seem to value someone who is going to put a course on there and continue to be part of the process of learning. And as someone who has a master's degree in online education, who has been a teacher for a long time in various capacities, that just means a lot to me. So I'd love to know in the comments, does it excite you to know that there is a place online like Insight Timer that is open to all kinds of voices, that is looking for people who are thoughtful and caring, who want to be engaged with the audience there, and who are willing to pay a substantial amount for that, because they don't have to, but they do. So, I don't know what else I can say about this, except that in all my years of being online, which I said it's been a long time, I remember the first website I ever saw was back in 1993, and it was the Vatican's website. That's how long I've been looking online on the internet. I have never found a place like this. Never. I've never seen a place that has such a high vibe. Heather says, like, a high vibe, high caliber of people, generally speaking, and a company that has been very public recently, saying how much they want to build its reputation, who clearly values what we do as teachers. I haven't seen that combination before. And so my whole thing is, I want every single, this is crazy, baby, but I really want every single life coach on Insight Timer. I want all of us on there. I want all of our voices on there, all of our perspectives on there. I want all of us to be able to use Insight Timer as a place to be visible, to reach a lot more people. The fact that I have almost 5,000 students in my courses, I've taught a lot of people through my own courses over the years, but I don't think I've had 5,000 people. That's a lot of people. Let's see. Darlene says, I especially love that those who are interested in my course see them. Yes. Facebook, my posts are practically invisible. That's just it. I don't want to be invisible anymore. Do you want to be invisible anymore? I'm sick of it. I want to be somewhere where I'm clearly being served up to people who might be interested. I appreciate the way the company allows for an easy search for the users. Yes, it says we share 50% of all income with our teacher community. That's exactly right, Margaret. And, I know from reading some things by the CEO that they are very determined to increase their subscriber numbers. Right now, they have a lot of free users, but they want to continue to show the value of the paid subscription, which frankly, for $60 a year, you get so much. It's really cheap. I'm surprised that it's that inexpensive. And I think that's also why they compensate teachers as well as they do, because they want us to put more courses on there. They've got, 3,600 courses on there or something like that as of now. And I know that they want to increase that. Hi, Mickey, we can get our message to many more people without exhausting ourselves in the process. Precisely. I wanted to just quickly address a question about, could you share some tips or resources on the process used to create the content for your courses? I do a lot of planning of my courses. The ones that I have on there now are things that I had already made previously for other purposes, and I repurpose them for Insight Timer. But I spend a lot of time on planning because I really want to make sure that since this is an audio-based app, we don't have the ability for people to look at slides or images or something. We have to make sure that it flows well from an audio perspective with someone just listening. And that's a very different experience from video. And so I spend a lot of time considering how people will experience going from one audio to the next, or if they want to stop after lesson 1 and come back the next day to lesson 2, I make sure that they are able to do that without losing their place, if that makes sense, that it makes sense when they pick it up again. So those are the kinds of things that I really concern myself with when I'm creating an audio course. So at this point, what if you're not a teacher yet on Insight Timer, why not? And, or is this now something that you see as possible or something that you want to do? Let me just check my notes because since I didn't do my slideshow, I just want to make sure that I covered everything that I was going to. I have been, oh, you're waiting to get approved. Very good, Darlene. One thing that I'm often asked, and this may be on your mind too, is if I want to get more coaching clients, how could I do that by being on Insight Timer? So Insight Timer is strict about not doing any promotion to anything off of Insight Timer. So for example, in a course, you can't say what your website is. So like when I was editing those audios to make them conform, when I had recorded them previously, I said, hi, this is Mary of Mary Schiller or maryinparis.com, whatever website I was using at the time. I had to cut those out because you can't say things like that. Or you can't say, if you want to contact me about a potential coaching call, go to you can't say things like that. What you can do though, is you can have a link in your profile. So that's helpful. You can also say things in your profile like I've been a coach since whatever year. So people know, if they look at your profile that that's what you do. Like, for example, I list a couple of my book titles in my profile so people know that I've written books as well. If you host a live event, you can't say, oh, go to my website to sign up for a free call, but you can say something like, if you'd like to learn more about me, visit my profile here on Insight Timer. You can say that a few times. You can also say things like, if you're hosting an event, if someone makes a comment, you could say something like, oh, that's a really interesting question. It's something I talk about with my clients often. and then you can address their question. So you can sort of, you can say what you need to say without being overt. Because because it's such a nice space, I totally respect the fact that they don't want any promotional nonsense going on. We get enough of that elsewhere. There's no ads floating around Insight Timer, so we want to keep it that way. Let's see. There's yoga on there. Yes. I think that Insight Timer is probably open to all different kinds of movement teaching. That may, if you have questions about certain things, I would directly write to them. Their support is really responsive, because I've had questions over the months of different things, and they always answer them really well and fast. So if you have any questions about specifics, I would just go directly to them and contact them. Okay, I got people waiting for approval. Let's see, go to my profile for related courses and resources. I would say things like, go to my profile to see what other courses I have here on Insight Timer. I would specifically say something like that, because then, first of all, that's great, because people are going to go to your courses and listen, and then, you can interact with them there and get paid more and all of those sorts of things. Heather says your profile's approved. Oh, yes. I understand about not wanting to record nasal sounding audios. That was part of my problem as well, because I was sick for so long, and I just didn't have, it wasn't so much that my voice sounded nasally, I just had no energy in it at all. Like I would try to do it, and I would listen back and I go, wow, I would just fall asleep if I was listening to that, which might not be bad if I were teaching how to sleep better, someone could just listen to me and fall asleep. So yeah, I've had to wait too, so that I understand the frustration. But what I find so exciting about Insight Timer, and the fact that it's audio based, is that audio is so much easier to make than video. It requires very simple tools. I literally use my old iPhone 8 with the earbuds, these things plugged in. I record into an app called Ophonic. I'll type the name here, Ophonic. I then upload it into an editing tool called Descript, and I edit it, and that's pretty much what I do. So I don't use anything fancy at all. Can you link on your homepage be to like a Linktree link? I think so. I'm not sure, but I think so. That might be a question to ask them, Darlene. But I don't see why it couldn't be. Hi there. Are any suggestions on getting a good audio quality while recording? So the reason why I use the Ophonic app to record using my phone is because, and I've used Ophonic since 2015. So I've used it for 9 years. Yes, I think it's an iPhone app. I don't know if it's for Android or not, or not, hi or not. It's because when it goes through Ophonic system, it sort of produces it. So it removes as much extraneous sound as possible, and kind of masters it, if you're familiar with that term. So it comes out of Ophonic sounding as good as it can. Yeah, then it might be just for iPhone. So it comes out of the recording process sounding really good. The problem with audio, if there is a problem, is that it's hard to fix it after the fact. I don't know if any of you have had this situation, but you want to get the recording as good as possible. So I record, you're going to laugh, but I record in my bedroom with myself surrounded by pillows, so that there's no echo. You literally can't see me. So I'm literally behind these pillows, and I've got the mic like this, and I got my eyes closed usually. I know what I'm going to say, and I'm just talking behind these pillows. It must look absolutely ridiculous. Like if somebody walked in, they wouldn't know what the heck I was doing. But the sound quality comes out really well when I do that. So that's why I do it. Audacity is a completely acceptable editing tool. I used to use it as well. I've used a lot of different editing tools. I just think Descript is the simplest, but I've used GarageBand, I've used Audacity, I've used ScreenFlow, I've used a bunch that I've probably forgotten about. So any of those that work are great. Yes, yeah. Great, Darlene, that's excellent. How can you add music? So if you use any of those editing tools, you can add music as a background. I always purchase music. I don't use anything that is online that just says it's free of copyright. I don't trust that. So I always purchase music to use for my audios that has the right to use it. I use Epidemic Sound. And I also have in Descript, there's also music that's available that's allowed to be used for commercial purposes. Yeah, there's lots of them. I've also used Audio Jungle. Let's see. Yeah, let me address, can you say more about the difference between tracks and courses? So tracks are single audios. They're just single audios. So it could be, mine are just talks. They can be a guided meditation, something like that, but they're single audios, just one. There are free tracks and there are tracks that are behind the membership. The one track that I put inside the paid membership gets like no plays. I think it's had, I don't know, 15 plays since I uploaded it 2 months ago. So I don't get much action from that. Courses have to be at least 2 lessons long, and the lessons have to be a minimum of 5 minutes each, and then there has to be an introduction as well, an introductory audio. And also, as people go through the courses, that you as the teacher, after every lesson, they ask you to put a thought-provoking question in there, so that's part of it as well. All right, any other questions? And then I'm going to share something else with you. Let me know. I'm going to find it here. Erna asked about the difference between Insight Timer and Udemy. Well, Insight Timer pays a lot better. I have several courses on Udemy, and for whatever reason, their search engine tool just doesn't work nearly as well as Insight Timers. I think I've made a few $100s, if that, on Udemy, and I've made more than $4,000 on Insight Timer in a very short amount of time with when I say, it's hard for me to stress this enough. When I say very little effort, I mean very little effort. I put the courses up there, and like I said, I haven't done anything since November. And then I interact with the students. It maybe takes me an hour-ish per month, and I'm still getting paid well. So that's why I prefer. And Insight Timer's audience is much more about what we're doing, as people in this business. Debbie, can you go ahead and put your question into the chat, if that's okay? Let's see here. Are you able to communicate with your followers outside the app? No, not unless they come and find me. What about other place-to-place courses that are like Udemy, for instance, Coursera? So the difference, I'm not sure what Coursera is. I'm just drawing a blank right now, but of course you can, I should say this, that anything you put on Insight Timer is not, what's the word I'm looking, exclusive to them. You can put that course anywhere else you want. You can sell it from your own website. You can sell it using, some other platform. You can turn it into a video course and sell it that way. You can do anything you want with it. So they don't have any exclusive rights to anything. So that's another thing that I like. Udemy has stricter rules about what you can do after you've put something on Udemy, and Insight Timer doesn't have those kinds of restrictions. Let's see. What about the, let's see. Okay. Oh yes, Deborah mentioned that there is a groups option inside Insight Timer. I have not utilized the group option, and I'm just going to be very blunt as to why. I don't want to manage a group. And I also want people to go in my courses and connect with me there, because I get paid for those interactions. I don't get paid to run a group. So I'm personally very focused on maximizing my time, and I don't have any interest in running a group. like that. If you do, that's fine, but that's not my cup of tea. No, there's no payments for group interactions. You only get paid for interacting with people in your courses. That's it. So you don't get paid for any other student interactions. So in case you are ready to get some support for this, or you feel like it would be fun to do that, I do have a course called Insight Timer Secrets. I'm going to put the link here in the chat. It's maryinparis.com/insight. And some of you are already in this course. And I never intended to create a course like this, but I found that I, made a few bobbles in the beginning, and I thought maybe if I can help people to avoid that, that might be useful. So I have offered this course called Insight Timer Secrets, where I share my own best practices for creating courses, for audio. I give some suggestions on how to make your audios more interesting, more listenable. I also host about at least once a month a Zoom Q&A call. So if you have questions, you can come on to the Zoom calls and ask away. And I really just want to support other coaches who want to utilize Insight Timer to its best ability. And it's just one-time payment. It's not a membership or anything like that. And really quickly, I'm also offering a live program from March 1st through March 10th to walk you through and step-by-step help you create your audio course. So you'll follow a daily schedule, you'll figure out what topic to do, you'll learn how to organize it, you'll learn how to record it, all of those things during that live program. And anyone who is part of Insight Timer Secrets gets a special price for that program that is just $100. So that is my little sales pitch, as they say. I would love to have any and all of you join Insight Timer Secrets because I'm having a blast with the people who've already joined, and we're just having a fun time exploring what we can do on Insight Timer. Let's see, Sheila, is there a link through Insight Timer that I send to followers to listen? Yes. So basically, once you have a track on Insight Timer, you can share that link anywhere you want. So you can certainly do that. If you have a big following somewhere already, oh, this is important. I need to say this. I'm so glad you said that. So the thing about Insight Timer is that the follower count does not matter at all. I have like 200 followers on Insight Timer, but as I said, I have almost 5,000 students. So this platform is not about getting followers. It's not social media. We're not going there. So don't even worry about that. If you want to share it with your existing audience, of course, go ahead and do that. If you have an email list or if you do have followers on social media, of course, share it with them. But just know that once you're in Insight Timer, you're in kind of an oasis. You're in a place that is relaxed. It's not about pushing content out and trying to get new followers and trying to get likes and all that. That is not happening there at all. So it's a very chill environment. Yes, you can do things in different languages as well. I see. What is the price for only the live course? I'm glad you asked. Let me grab the page just so I don't misspeak. So right now, the early bird price for the live class where I help you create your audio course is $197 on its own. And again, if you decide to enroll in Insight Timer Secrets, then you can enroll in that for just $100, but that's totally up to you. I'll put the link to the other one.
I do afterwards. And I was like, you're actually kidding. Like, I have screenshots.
Somebody has unmuted themselves.
Like, yeah, I don't care.
There we go. /audio. So that maryinparis.com/audio is the link to the course that will show you how to create an audio course for Insight Timer or anywhere, frankly. And don't worry, I will send all of this out afterwards when I share the replay. All right, that's about all I have. So as a teacher, do you only pay $60 to get started? So you don't have to pay anything to get started as a teacher. It's free. Free, free, free. And I personally pay the $60 because I like to see what else is going on Insight Timer. And I, enjoy listening to other people's tracks. I also find it fun to hear what other people do that engages me, not so that I can copy them, but I can use them as inspiration. So if I like the way someone has organized a course, I might go, okay, well, how can I organize a course in a similar way? Or like there was one person I was listening to who was really good at storytelling and it was really engaging. I thought, okay, that's something I can practice doing in my courses coming up. How can I be really good at telling stories to keep people engaged? Which website do you use for your landing page? So on Insight Timer, you have a profile page that you get once you are a teacher. I can put mine in the link in the chat here so you can see what it looks like, and it lists all of your courses and tracks. Oops, I just lost all of you. There you are. There's my link to my profile. And so I have that like in my email signature. I invite people to check out my tracks and courses on Insight Timer. But I want to be really clear that this is a place where you can sort of relax and let go of all of the other stuff that you've learned about creating an audience, about connecting with people, because the audience is already there. The app itself, the algorithm works on your behalf and serves your content up to interested people, so you don't have to do any marketing. The best thing, in my opinion, that you can do is get those 2 free tracks on there so you can get approved to be a teacher, and then start putting courses on the app. Create them based on popular topics that people like to listen to on Insight Timer, and start to interact with the students. Invite them in your audios by saying, here's a question I'd love for you to answer. If you'd like to share it in the chat, in the course, please do, prompt people to interact with you. And that is my best advice. Yes, courses are it. Don't bother. I'm serious. Do not bother with doing separate tracks. I put like 5 free tracks on there. It was not necessary. I would just do the 2 and then get straight into longer courses. There are some people who do only 2 lesson courses. That's kind of their thing. I didn't really find that worked very well for me. They sort of got a big hit and then they kind of dropped off to nothing or almost nothing. I have found that the longer courses work better, like a minimum of 5 to 7 lessons. And I think this audience is such that they appreciate even more in-depth courses. So I think that's why that 28 days one has done well. It also addresses a topic that I didn't realize at the time is actually somewhat popular on the app. This idea of living more simply and all of that seems to be really popular with people. So meditations, I don't do meditations, so I can't really speak to that. But I think you could do a course that could be a combination of different meditations. Yes, I would do some research on the app and see what other people are doing in that regard and see what seems to be popular. All right, do you guys have any other questions that I can answer? I'm happy to stay on. And again, I'm going to put the links here for the Insight Timer Secrets. That is the course that will really go into more depth on getting started successfully. Did I not do that right? Oh, I didn't. Did I? Wait, let me try that again. There we go. And then the live course where I'm going to walk you through the process of creating an audio course that you can use on Insight Timer or anywhere you want is at www.maryinparis.com/audio, and it will run from March 1 through 10. Do you have keywords to help people find courses? I think that your title should use a keyword. The description could probably use some keywords as well. So yes, that's definitely part of it. I recommend that people use very straightforward titles. I think that was a mistake that I made, is that my titles were not very straightforward. So I have changed some of them. But, all of this can come through trial and error. And also, of course, I'm here to support you. If you want to bounce ideas off of someone, you can join my program and I'd be happy to support you as much as I possibly can. Let's see. Oh, thank you, Deborah. Insight Timer Secrets is a great course, worth it for the shortcuts provided. Oh, I'm so happy. Yeah, I really do try to make things simple. That's sort of my middle name. If you guys have been around me for a while, I can't deal with complex stuff. So I try to make it as easy as possible. For my newsletter, so the course and all of that, my course and everything is hosted on a platform called System, like system with an E. Let's see. So in a way, the course you offer are free, members only, pay $60. That's correct, Erna. So if they pay the $60, they have access to all of the courses on the app. All right. Any final thoughts? Have you now decided, please say yes, that you're going to become a teacher on Insight Timer, whether you take my course or not? I would love you to be in there, and same with the live program. But my real aim with this talk was just to get you excited about a possible place for you to be that is calmer and is nice, and the people are cool and people want to interact with you. They're there intentionally. They're looking for whatever it is that you want to share with them. And I can't even tell you what it has meant to me to read comments from people in there like, this course was really magical for me, or it transformed the way I see X topic, and just knowing that 2,000 people have enrolled in one of my courses on there, and knowing that on any given week 300 to 400 plays are happening and people are listening, it's really incredible. And to think that we can do all of that for free and get paid, instead of, remember how we started this discussion with this thumb action? People are not doing that. I am tired of being treated that way. You and I are worth more than a finger flick, a thumb flick on Instagram or whatever. So let's start hanging out somewhere where people want to hear what we have to say and are appreciative, even when they disagree with us. Oh, you're very welcome. What is your biggest takeaway from this talk before we sign off? I'd love to hear in the chat. Please say, I'm going to become a teacher on Insight Timer immediately, like today. That would make me so happy to hear. And if you have any further questions about anything, you can always email me, maryinparis.com. Final confirmation, you're in the right place. Thanks, Darlene. Margaret, inspired to do more. Mary, Insight Timer is the place to be. Yeah. Like you said, being in a place where our message is valued. Yes, it sounds wonderful. It is. It is. It's the best place I have found online in decades. And I don't say that lightly. And I'm getting kind of choked up because I've had the most, I have loved my audience since I started my coaching business in 2016. I love you all more than I can say. And I now have, some of you are in my Insight Timer audience as well, which is fun. And I now have another group of people who I just feel so close to. I really do. Even though we only know each other through there, I just feel like there is such a warmth to that space. And I applaud the people behind Insight Timer for creating that kind of space. And I want us to support that and continue to help it grow. Debbie's eager to get excited. Oh, you're very welcome. All right, no problem, Mimi. So with that, I will say merci. Thank you for being here, signing off. And I would love to see you in one of my courses or in one of my courses on Insight Timer. That would be a fun place for us to interact. One thing that's kind of fun, you may have seen this if you're on my email list, is that when anyone in the Insight Timer Secrets course publishes a new track, I send that track out to my subscribers to listen to, and that way they can get some more exposure. And I love listening to those too. Do I have any final thoughts on this work you're doing in promoting platforms like Insight Timer instead of keeping it to yourself? I just love Insight Timer and I want them to be big. I want them to be bigger than big. And the CEO has said he wants the Insight Timer name to be a household name in 3 years. So I want to do everything that I can to promote Insight Timer because it's been very good to me so far. And I want to have dozens of courses on there and interact with hundreds of thousands of people. That's my aim because I just love it so much. All right, are we good? We're good. Okay, thumbs up. Thank you so much, everybody. It's been a joy. I will share the replay as soon as it is ready for you. And again, if you have any questions about anything, just reach out to me and I'm happy to answer. Thank you so much for being here. It's been a joy and I will see you again soon. Bye for now. Thanks, everybody.